Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Season 1 of Couples Masterclass. We are going to be talking to real life married couples who have agreed to be authentic and real about their relationships and about their marriage. And today on Episode 1, it is my pleasure to be sitting down with Mercier and Perry Bobb of Atlanta, Georgia, my daughter and my son in law. Stay tuned. All right, hallelujah. I'm so glad that you guys are here and joining us. I have been so excited about this premiere for such a long time, and it's finally here. Yay! So I want you to sit back, get yourself a snack. Doesn't matter whether you're single, whether you're engaged, whether you're married, this show is for you. And so tonight, I want you all to help me give a warm welcome to our first guest on Episode 1 of Couples Masterclass, Perry and Mercier Bobb of Atlanta, Georgia, my daughter and my son-in-law. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hey, so glad. Listen, thank you guys so much for agreeing to do this with me and to be our first guest tonight.
Yes, you're welcome.
No problem.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, you guys have been married coming up on 19 years, right?
Yeah.
Wow, and see, you're the parents of 3 children. Caleb, who's 18, Aria, 16, and Olivia's just turned 14?
Yeah.
Wow, all right. So, how did you guys meet?
Well, at AirTran, it started off, I was a gate agent. Mercier worked the ramp and doing my usual walkthrough when the planes come before we board. I went to check, make sure the seats and things were cleared out. And I saw him as he was filling up the plane, and I just said to myself, "Oh, he's cute." And so I went and introduced myself, and ever since then, we just started seeing each other through mutual friends and would meet up at the same places, and so we started off just as friends.
So kind of got to get started meeting up as in groups more or less in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, but you introduced yourself to
I
him
did.
first.
I did, and see, that was a privilege because I don't normally do that to them.
Okay, all right. So Mercier, what was your first impression of Perry?
Biggest thing I remember from back then was I was new to the job, so I was trying to make sure I'm doing everything right, and it was a bunch of new faces, so I kind of was just looking around and looking to get things right. And she came out, introduced herself to me, shook her hand, and we kind of had that awkward, silent moment when we got done talking. And I get back to the guys on the truck and was like, "Who's that?" They were like, "Yeah, that's one of the ticket agents. We'll tell you about it later." I was like, "Okay."
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Go ahead. All right. So what was the first date? Like who asked you, like the first date outside of a group? Do you remember what that was like?
Well, our first date was actually with a group because we were always with friends, and I had a roommate and she worked at AirTran as well. What was it called?
Hammers.
No,
We used
Dave
to
and
meet there.
Buster's.
Oh, that's
Remember?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, their first official date was Dave and Buster's,
Okay.
and he always teased me, say I'm the cheapest date because I got, what did I get?
Chicken tenders.
Yeah, chicken tenders and things like that. But yeah, that was our first official date where it's like the arcades and everything, and it made it really to come from being friends to dating. It was like a nice fun type of thing, to take the awkwardness.
Gotcha. All right. So the road then, dating, the road leading up to marriage, getting to know each other. What was that like?
It's good. It's one of those things that you learn as you go. Um, the amazing thing is you learn more about the person when you step out of your own way and just allow God to basically show you about that person without you trying to mess it up like you're so used to doing.
Gotcha. You have anything to add to that, Perry?
No, I think that was good. Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just one of those journeys where you are just trying to get to know each other and,
Right.
you know, try to be as real and authentic as possible, you
Mm-hmm.
know, as well. I think also, um, I remember even when we were dating, what was it that I wouldn't do? Use the restroom in front of you or pass with or something like that. You know, you just even little things like that. You know, it was just kind of funny. But yeah, just getting to know each other to be as most authentic as possible, I think was one of my biggest things of importance.
So, what would you say, are there any personality differences or pet peeves that you all have?
Personality difference, definitely. I think now coming up 19 years, we definitely have really merged, you know. But one of the biggest things was, especially when we were dating, Mercier is very outgoing. What do you call that?
Extroverted.
Extroverted, yes. And I am so introverted, you know, very quiet. And so that definitely was a major difference of trying to get to learn and understand. So it was like he was always just very just out there, which was fine. It was just so new to me that I was just always like, okay.
So kind of like an opposite attract, maybe type of
Very much, very
It
much.
was.
So
Yeah.
what do you think, because, you know, now that I know, of course, you all together now, you do seem, your personalities seem to have merged so well. How do you think that kind of meshed? Like what caused that to, because Perry is a little bit more laid back. She's more laid back. Mercy is definitely very outgoing, fun. But now the two of you together, when I see you all, you guys' personalities just seem to have really come into one. And so, how do you think that happened? Or
I think the biggest thing is, like I said before, it's getting out of your own way. I think as an individual, you're used to doing things a certain way. You know that there's certain successes, certain failures, the way that you've done it, and accepting another person's way of doing it and succeeding and failing is hard to accept. And once you start stepping out of those ways and listening to that person and kind of treating it like a blank book, you tend to see their perspective a little bit better, and dynamically you kind of balance out.
Yeah, definitely getting out of your own way. I think what allowed us to be able to make that decision was we both knew that divorce was not an option, you know, and so because that was our decision that divorce was not an option, that meant, well, then we got to work at this. We knew it was going to take work, and therefore each day was a decision to do the work. And so it also meant that the things that I felt in my perspective was right, I had to finally realize that in order for me to get understanding for his perspective, I had to choose to not try to be right. And so therefore, when we used to have disagreements, well, we still, you know, can have disagreement, but when it was harder to try to understand the person, it was because I was mainly trying to prove my point, more like a debater to be right, versus asking questions to understand his side so we could get to the goal at hand.
Gotcha.
And
Well,
so we learned how to do that.
well, that was a good segue, because into my next question is, I was going to ask, how do you handle disagreements or arguments? And what I heard you saying before was, part of it is not trying to be right, but more in trying to listen to the other person and somehow establish common goal.
Yes.
If you can add anything to that.
Yeah, yeah, because again, I didn't want a divorce, you know, because one of the things is you get a divorce, you, I knew I didn't want to be single all my life, so yeah, I could get a divorce from him, but then that means I start all over the same concept with a whole nother person. And I always was a firm believer that usually the first person was usually the right one. It's just you got to put in the work. Are you willing to put in the work? And so because of that, again, it was like I had to keep reminding myself, it's not about being right. Let me understand what you mean.
Right.
And then we're able to come together, because then I'll say, oh, okay, I get what you're saying, and then I'm able to explain, but my perspective, my perception and perspective is different. So now when I'm explaining myself, it's not because I want to be right, but I truly am saying, I want you to understand me just like I want to understand you,
Right.
and we can get to the bottom line.
Okay, that's good. Anything to add to that, Mercier?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. So, what experience? Any experiences that tested your marriage?
I would say a lot of times,
Finances above all.
exactly.
Finances will always be the
Definitely
number
a
one,
test.
I feel like, because I feel like finances is that one thing that will be that constant hot water. It'll eliminate anything else that you could run to as a vice, or anything that you could kind of go towards that would take you away from the problem. Finances will keep you home with the lights off and just mad at someone that you can't see. And you know, finances is the biggest struggle, because again, it's dealing with two individuals that are used to doing things their own way and knowing the success rate and the failure rate based on their own individual
Right.
lives, and listening to another person and preparing, I guess you could say, for the worst, or what's the phrase? Is it hoping for the best or preparing for the worst? That's kind of how you tend to look at the relationship, in the sense of trying to be as positive as you can, and listening to your life member,
Yeah.
and knowing or feeling that something might not be right, and watching it succeed through both of your eyes teaches you a lesson as well. So finance is probably the biggest issue,
challenge.
especially having kids.
Exactly.
You know, that can definitely create another,
Sure.
I guess you could say, issue in your relationship of understanding this other person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to remember another thing that I continue even now to practice is, him and I are a team first. It started off with you and I first before anyone else, you know, and so if you can continue to remember that, then you will prioritize things a little better, you know, so you don't leave your
Good.
teammate behind.
That's good. Yeah. So it started off with you two. So
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it has to be you two first. I guess it's similar to, you know, when they say when you're on a plane and if the planes get ready to go down, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first
All
before
right.
someone else. That's kind of what it brought to my memory, is that you all have to take care of each other and yourselves first in order to be the parents
Exactly.
that you need to be. Okay, good stuff. So, how do you guys balance work and time for each other and roles at home?
One of the things, two things actually, just a few years ago, remember, one of the things I felt like the Lord gave me was, you know, each year, of course, we're celebrating our wedding anniversary. And, you know, I just kind of thought about it, and I said, you know, I want to, when I celebrate, I want to actually look forward to really celebrating that year. And I said, I went to Mercier and I said, you know, let's think of something, just one thing that you would like to see better in me and that I would like to see better in you. And let's work on that for that entire year, so that when the year is up, we can really celebrate and see the progress, you know, versus just saying happy anniversary every year, but not really seeing any progress, you know, because you see couples, they go year after year, and then finally after 50 years, they're like, I don't want to do this no more. It's like, how did you stay for 50 years?
Yeah.
You know, and so I just wanted to not take each other for granted in that sense, and say, let's do that And another thing we decided to do is get back into dating once a month at least. Let's go
Mhm.
on a date. I was just telling him the other day, after this, pandemic is over, we got to get back to that once a month,
Yeah,
go on and let's get back into dating. Don't want to lose that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very good. Anything to add, Merce?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what she said. Personally, I guess to go delve a little bit deeper, I look at it more of like the relationship I had with God personally. He knows so much more about me that I don't know about myself,
Mhm.
and I look at and studied it more as um, God Himself being. My name's Mercier. He's a Merciologist, so it's
Mhm.
like He studies me. He knows my ins and outs, and for me in that aspect, I said, you know what? Let me become a periologist. Let me
Mm.
understand her a little bit more,
Nice.
and it delved into so many different things that I mean, could be me looking at her birthday and finding out, what things she was born and where she was living and um, favorite colors, favorite songs, things that she grew up doing. Where did her family grow up, and learning the culture behind Perry, which led to so many other things that we
Mhm.
found out about later on, that we ended up going to neighboring high schools, and we were kind of always around each other, even though
Without
we
even
just knew
knowing it.
each other as of
Yes.
19 years ago, really.
Yeah. We ended up at the high school when I was doing summer school. He was at the track at that same time in that summer. Because I recall when I would go there each morning, I would see them out there, and I always wondered what they doing. I knew it was some type of event, or a game, but I didn't realize it was track. Just different things like that. We really were around each other in our lives.
Without even knowing each
Without
other.
knowing, we just
Wow.
decided to do a backtrack. Where were you at this age? Where were you at this age? And so it was just awesome. Even to how we met at AirTran. He was originally supposed to be in my class, but he ended up being late and he came in the other one. He was at the door when the, the instructor was like, I'm sorry you're late. And he closed the door and we were all laughing. Come to find out that was him. Yeah.
Wow, that's cute. That's really cute. Wow. So, um, one of the things I want to just interject, obviously I know these two, pretty well, but um, because I am up close and personal, one of the things that I admire the most about these two is how really silly, still in love they really are. I mean, they're crazy. they they are funny. They joke. They really interact with the kids. I mean, it's amazing to really see that after all of these years that you guys aren't just in love, that you actually like each other.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that. Has that always been the case? I mean, I know probably in the beginning,
Right.
you're in love and that honeymoon stage, but is there a period of time that you've ever experienced where you didn't like each other
Oh my
anymore? And if
gosh,
so,
yeah.
how did you get back to liking each other?
Oh yeah, definitely. We had the
Definitely.
honeymoon stage, and then I would say 5 years, 6 years in, maybe even 10. ten
I think
years.
10 years for us was that mark where we could look back and just laugh
Mm,
at the stupid mistakes we've done towards each other,
mhm,
um, trying to make things work, and it just didn't fail, or I'm sorry, it didn't work, or and it failed.
mhm,
um, and just laughing at the struggle altogether. I mean,
mhm,
we got to a point where we did treat each other a lot like the old T-shirt that just was tattered and worn, and just it's
mm.
time for a new T-shirt. But we never we went right back to our primary goal. Divorce is not the
An
answer.
option.
Why is this person so important to me, and why are they not so important to me right now?
Mhm,
And delving deep into the matter of it and realizing the majority of it was really just emotional, and
mhm,
emotions are a fleeting feeling, so we ended up going back to ground one, and with one another, and basically said, you know what, let's try to make this work. And
mhm.
you're surprised, I'm surprised on when both of you try to make it work, it goes so much quicker,
Mhm.
you know, and finances and kids and bills and what have you comes your way, and it's in and out. It's in one ear and out the other, or in your life and out your life
Mhm.
in a quick moment. Just when you decide, I'm going to make this work. I'm
Yeah.
not going to give in. I'm not going to be another statistic. I'm going to make this work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely. It was funny because, like I said, whatever point we did start liking each other again, I was like, Mercier, we really like each other again.
Yep,
It was like,
she
yeah,
did.
it's like we actually like each other. Hi, friend.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey.
how's it
It,
going?
it,
Yeah.
it really was breathtaking, though, to just be able, because, of course, I love you. I love my enemy, and that just means I respect you, right?
Right. Right.
So we loved each other enough to respect each other, but that like really was not there. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
to like each other is great, to
Yeah.
want to be around you, to want to, spend time with you and be your friend. I'm happy I got my friend back, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so, but I think also what brought at least me back to that was it came a point where I had to um, just work on me, not be
Mm.
so into the marriage itself and the issues.
Right.
It's like one of those things where you can see that you're when you're too close into the situation, you can't see the big picture. So I
Mhm.
had to step out of the picture and just work on me,
Mhm.
and
Same for
as
me.
I was able to build my confidence in my relationship with God, then he was able to talk to me about me, and me dealing with me allowed it to be the benefit of my relationship as well.
Mhm.
And so, like him as well. So we, even though we were together, we separated
Yeah.
Right.
individually
Yeah.
just so we could come back. And so I think that
Right.
was awesome.
Not legally.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I heard you say was that by taking some time to work on yourself and look at work on each other individually yourself, that because many times when you kind of fall out of like with someone, it may not even be the other person. Sometimes it could be things that you don't like about yourself,
Mhm.
Very much so.
confidence in yourself. So as
Very
you
much.
rebuild that
Yes.
and start even liking yourself and appreciating yourself a little more, it makes it easier then to begin to, that's what I heard you say. And I can imagine that that is exactly what brought you guys back into likeness again with one another. So I
For sure.
think that is a key thing to remember is because it is so easy in marriage to kind of get so caught up into the other person or into the marriage itself where you forget that you're still an individual yourself
Right.
and you need to still work on that. So that's
Right.
good stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank
as we come to a close, anything else, anything for our viewers that just to kind of sum up any type of advice for anyone that's maybe, single or engaged couples, anything else that you guys can think of that you would want to share?
Yeah, I would. The biggest thing that helped me was if you are willing to give up your right to be right, it will
Mm,
take you a long way.
yeah.
Because when you're in the marriage, again, like you said, we started off where we knew what each other liked individually, but when you decide to join and come together, at some point, if you want to understand that person, you got to give up the right to be right and just get to the goal of the matter. Let's figure out where to reach the goal of understanding each other.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
I would also have to say keep God close as well.
Yeah.
You know, when you get to that point where you're constantly pulled in every direction, that's what it feels like.
Mhm.
You know, you get to a point where you're stripped down to your last thread, and God's the only one that can help you through that. You
Yeah.
know, I don't. I have to say that of all the hardships and hard times that we've had, God brought us through the majority of it. I mean, it may not have been so much as a physical thing where we're in a church and we just have a
Mhm.
spiritual
Mhm.
um, release of some sort. It's in our own homes. It's
Mhm.
God being invited into every nook and cranny of our house
Mhm.
and learning that there are different facets to God, as if there's
Mhm.
as the same as there are different facets to us,
Mhm.
and just letting
In
God
other
be God, and
yeah,
not always having to be right, because you're here for a
yeah.
limited time and he knows what's going on, and
Mhm.
following his plan and trying to keep things in the right place
Amen.
will help you get where you need to be.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. This was really, really, really great. I just want to thank you guys again for agreeing to come and share your experiences and your married life with us. I hope that you all out there were blessed by Perry and Mercier's information that they shared with us. I hope the two of you, did you have a good time?
It was fun.
It was
Yes.
fun.
Thank you.
Praise God.
Awesome.
Well, listen, we're going to see you guys next month. This is going to happen every third Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So next month will be June the 20th is when we'll meet here again. And our special couple then will be Rhonda and Rodney Walters. Again, Perry and Mercier, you guys know how much I love you.
Love
But
you.
thank
Definitely.
you so much for joining us. And those of us, you guys that are watching, God bless you guys. I love you so much. We'll see you next time.